Welcome to our next training session, which is about designing your team. You are currently on your 90 Days to Team Leader program. And I think one of the most important things that we need to do is we need to think a little bit about the business that we want to create for ourselves. I often see women sit around the table and then we speak about what they want in life. And then very often they really have to dig deep into their mind to find out what it is that they want, what they want to aim for in life. I also found that this is true in their business. Somehow there's a part of our creativity, part of our design that has actually gone lost as life happened. Um, you might have had dreams, you might have had an idea of what it is that you would want in life. And maybe like myself, I had a dream of a business from very early on in my life. I was about 19 years old when I had this idea of what I want in my business or the kind of business that I wanted. I didn't know what it looked like at that point, but in my mind, I could see a picture. So, what I want to do today is I want to rehash those pictures because maybe just like me, life happened and people tell you to get real, and that picture in your mind starts to fade. And today, I know more than ever before how important it is to have a very clear vision in your mind's eye, in your imagination. That creative part of your being is there for a reason. And that is what we are going to tap into today. So, Abraham Hicks said, "Fear only exists when you do not understand that you have the power to project thought and that the universe will respond." Now, maybe you have to read this a couple of times before the reality of that sinks in. And just before you want to switch off and say that I've gone completely um, haywire on you, or maybe you are not agreeing with this principle, I want to just share the following one with you, which is it's the same principle, it's a different perspective. Paul says faith brings our hopes into reality and becomes the foundation needed to acquire the things we long for. If these two statements then are true, regardless of what your religious beliefs are, this is a spiritual principle. It means then that we are missing a vital part of our business planning and our strategy sessions if we don't actively engage into this principle. And this is what I want to attempt to do with you tonight. The secret of growing and understanding is in your own hands. You are able, through your imagination, to create your own growth. That ability is part of your given design. It is part of who you were created to be. We have just listened to multiple people labeling it, and we have, for most of the time, rendered it as not important or not something I'm going to put my foot in. But I promise you today that as I sit and as I really are trying to understand a lot of spiritual principles, I also know that once you have understood this principle of visualization, of putting faith into action, you will understand that that is a major gear shifting moment in your life. If you can activate this principle today, I promise you that the end part of your business will be completely different as to it would be if you would hit the pause button and just carry on with whatever it is that you're doing right now. The progress will depend on the increase of attention. What you focus on is what you become. What you keep your eye on is where you will end. We look at children that get taught to run a 100-meter race, or even when they only start out in grade 3 or 4, when they run the 60-meter race, they only need to aim for that chair and they must run right into the chair. From early on, we teach our children, just keep your eye on the ball. Don't focus on anything else. And yet, the older we are and the older we become, we start forgetting these basic principles. So that is definitely what we are going to do today. We are going to create a very clear picture. of your business. We are going to create a very clear picture of what it is that you want. Now, remember, your picture today will only be as big and as elaborate as you are willing to go. So, I think right at the beginning, I want to set the rules of the session. You would have to pause in between basically every picture or every slide. And then I want you to take a deep breath. And then I want you to address your imagination and give it permission to dream. To picture something in your mind that is bigger than the first thing that pops in your mind. So, for instance, if I would ask you if you would be able, what would your dream team looks like? How many people will be in there? And your immediate picture says 10 people. I want you to breathe and say you are allowed to dream bigger. You are allowed to think bigger. And then I want you to address your imagination and ask for a better number. And if you are brave enough, I want you to do that again because you are allowed to expand and to grow your dream and your aim as big as you can. The biggest mistake I made at the age of 19 years old is I listened to other people when they told me how big my business would be. Because originally, my picture was massive. But then I allowed myself, most of the times, and other people to shrink my picture. So remember again, you're sitting now with your journal in front of you and you will be jotting down notes. I nearly want to say that you must just let creativity go. A page as many times as you need in your journal. I actually want to challenge you for every slide that we are going to address, start on a new page because I want you to go back and build on that and build on that. Because the second thing that you need to understand is that whatever picture you see here today is not going to be the end of it. You can go back in 2 or 3 days from now and still add on and still add on. So therefore, you're going to address each section on a page. And every time I challenge you to go through the exercise, you are going to hit the pause button and you're going to allow as much time as your mind needs to complete this. This is a closed session, so there will be no question and answers at the end of the time. So there's no race to get to the end. This is only about you and your picture. And what I want to do is I want to challenge you to maybe switch off your phone or put it on silent so that nothing else will distract you at this stage. But let's continue. I want you to sit down in a quiet place, maybe in a nice and comfortable chair. If you're a little bit cold, maybe you want to put a blanket over you. If it's a little bit warm, maybe you want to open the window. Maybe right now you want to check and see if you've actually got a glass of water or is your coffee hot enough. Because we are right now going to sit and design and decide what is the honey business that you will need to suit your needs. I want you to make notes of anything, even when the thought seems to be random. If an idea, a concept, or a feeling pops into your mind, I want you to write it down. I'm going to challenge you a lot of times to close your eyes, just to cut out all the excess noise. If, like me, you've got a pet that demands to sit on your lap, maybe you would want to move that little one to another lap right now so that your concentration and all your senses are belonging to this exercise. Never underestimate or never disregard quirky remarks or quirky pictures that pops into your mind. Just write them down. The very first thing I want you to imagine is what it would look like for you, what it would feel like when your business hits for the very first time the 50,000 Rand mark. This is the first time that you've hit the 50,000 Rand mark. You have worked for it, you have aimed for it, you have calculated your sales, you have motivated your team, you have anticipated this so much, and you have absolutely now just waiting for that final sales figure to be published. And you open the email and you download your portal and you see that you've hit the 50,000 Rand mark. You are elated. You are super excited. You are thrilled. There is so much excitement in you right now. I want you to see how you celebrate. I want you to see how you are doing your happy dance. I want you to make your war cry or your funny little noises. You know, we all got that thing that we do when we are totally, totally out of our skin. That's how happy you are right now. Your heart is pumping, and then your eye goes down to the line to see how much you earned, and now your eyes are like stretching, and you're like, I can't believe it. It can't be true. How can this be my business? And then I want you to just take that business and hug it and love it and embrace it. And then I want you to know that you did this. You are this amazing. This is the business that you created. And now you can celebrate it. Congratulations, you've just made 100,000 Rand Club. You have broken through one of the biggest barriers in our business. I want you to feel it. I want you to taste it. Right now, your mother team leader is dancing with you. Your business buddy is dancing with you. Your partner is dancing with you. Whoever helps you in the office is dancing with you. Yes, by now you might have hired help. So can you all in the office right now participate in the celebrations? You decide, no, you were prepared because you knew you're going to hit the 100,000 Rand Club. So you prepared and you got the champagne in the fridge. So you actually also took the glasses out because you knew today is going to be the day. So you take out the champagne, you pop the champagne, and in your garden or on your front stoop or in your office, you are celebrating the fact that you've just crushed one of the biggest barriers in honey. You are now part of the 100,000 Rand Club. And then I want you to breathe and just feel how it feels to be a 100,000 Rand member. Now, would you believe me if I tell you that if you can think that you can do this, getting there is so much easier. It becomes so much easier if you can first envision it. Because what you have done right now is you have accessed the future. You have gone into the future and you grabbed hold of what it would feel like to accomplish these first two steps in your honey career. So we are now going to make sure that we fill the gap from there to here. I want to ask you, how will you organize your days? How will you keep track of your responsibilities? What would your daily schedule look like? What time would you get up in the morning? What would be the time that you clock into your office? If you are working full-time, what would be your early morning routine to ensure that your team and your business is up and running while you are commuting to work? Or maybe what would be your commuting to work schedule look like? When you arrive at work, what would be the first thing that you do in those minutes before your workday starts? Would you maybe leave earlier from home to make sure that when you hit the office, you can do a couple of admin tasks before your day starts for your full-time job? What will you do in lunchtimes? Would you have a lunchtime? What would your schedule look like on the commute back home? Maybe when you arrive home, what will you do first before you start with supper? Would you do supper first and then attend to your business? What would your working hours be? What will you do on Saturdays? What will you do on Sundays? Would Sundays be your rest day? Will you work that rest day and will you make sure that you have completed all your tasks throughout the day, throughout the week, to ensure that Sunday is really a rest day, a family day? So what will your days look like? What would your schedule look like? Would you have a to-do list? Would you use a diary? Would you use an app? I want you to see yourself talking to prospects. I want you to see how confident you are, how well informed you are. I want you to see how people are actually lining up when they see you walk into a mall and they identify you and they know that from this woman I can purchase, in her team I want to be. I want you to experience the success that you feel inside of you when you successfully could have not only shared the business opportunity with a new person, but actually signed them up. And I want you to see how you are activating them and how you are turning them from a brand new sales consultant to an active sales consultant. I want you to see how you interact with them and how you show them the invoice, how you show them their first earnings, how you celebrate their wins with them. I want you to pay attention now to the details. How many in your team will trade in the 1,000 Rand group? How many will make part out of your medium um, achiever group on 2,500? Maybe some of your girls will be high achievers. And what would be the size of your 5,000 Rand sales consultant group? And would you have VIP members, and how many would that be? I want you to see them. I want you to literally right now put these numbers down in your book and write down exactly how many of each of these you would want. And make sure that you've got a good amount on the 2.5 and a good amount in the 1,000 Rand and a little bit here and there. It is very important that you now visualize the dynamics of your team and that you can see exactly what is the size of the team that you will have. I want you to imagine the end of the month. I want you to see what your recognition will look like. What would it be that you would share with your team to encourage them? What would the gifts look like? How would they be wrapped? Would you do cash? I want you to see how you're handing the cash out to your team. I want you to note the excitement. I want you to see the absolute pleasure in their minds when they get that free handbag for the very first time, when they realize that this business is really making a change and a difference in their life. I want you to see how you sit down and you plan your recognition. What will be the amount of money that you are willing to spend to do incentives and gifts to your team? I want you to see how you, even at the end of your first financial year, host your own gala evening. How you invite them and you beautifully dress the tables and you put personalized gifts on everyone's table. What would your recognition event look like? What would your communication structures look like? How often will you communicate with your team? What would be the tone? What would be the trend? When you choose your images, when you design your images, would they be stylish? Would they be classic? Would they be filled with fun or laughter? What would the way be, or how would it look like when you communicate with your team? How informed will you be as a leader? How will you get your information from? What will your level of commitment be to understand and then implement this information? Will you dedicate a certain day of a time of the day to interact with communication that came from head office? I want you to see how you might decide to read them carefully and understand them. I also want you to decide how you're going to filter through that information from head office to your team. And I want you to remember that your team will see you as a leader in the way that you communicate to them. So, what would be the status that you would like your team to place on you, the leader of this business? How would you like to inspire your team? What resources will you use? Would you be a person that will post a lot of YouTube videos? Would you create your own? Would you do motivational quotes? Which motivational speaker would you follow? What plan would you put into place? And how often will you implement this inspiration plan? Would you do it once a week, once a month? What will the tone of your inspiration be? Will you pick a theme or will you go with whatever is interesting at that point? Inspiring your team would be one of the key elements in our business. So, to pick the tone and to understand that activating this part of your business is very important will surely pay you in the long run. How will you upskill your team? How will you train them? How will you add value to a brand new member in your team? How will you implement this team? And how often will you invest into your team? What would be the way that you will engage with your team to train them? Would you choose one on one sessions? Would you choose interactions where you will have a room full of people? Will you use social media? Will you use video content? Will you use one to one sessions where you actually just have them in your beautiful office with a small little display where you actually have them to interact with the business and with the product? I want you to visualize how you will maintain success in your team. I want you to see as the calendar pages past month after month after month, how you are achieving your target, how you are setting yourself in for growth, how you are constantly handling every challenge that pops up into your business, how you are skillfully maneuvering yourself through the marketplace, and how you are constantly positioning yourself for success. And as the months page by, I want you to see how you tackle the new year with the same amount of inspiration and motivation than you just tackled your last year. I want you to see yourself planning your business like an MBA graduate. I want you to see how you're sitting around the table where you're discussing possibilities with fellow business owners and maybe your own personal business coach. I want you to see how you are coaching others. I want you to see how you are becoming the mentor in your own area, in your own group, in your own business. And I want you to see how you are doing this successfully while you are changing the lives of women one by one as you teach them the art of selling. So, right now, I want to encourage you that we have actually laid down quite a bit of groundwork for the rest of our training sessions going forward. I want you to circle the one point right now in your diary that you are very familiar with, your strongest point, the item that came the easiest for you. And as you're turning those pages and you're finding that specific one, I want to remind you that this point that you've chosen right now is most probably your secret weapon. That is the one area in your business that you are easily skilled at. It's the part that you don't have to think about. This would be one of the strongest legs that your business will stand on. Now, regardless of the fact that we've got many legs that our business stands on, it does help to know which one is your strong one. And then I want you to go to that area that you've really struggled with. That might be the page that's only got one line on it. And I want you to mark this one, maybe with a red circle, or maybe just mark it with a star, because this would be the area that you need help with. And as you are soon meeting your mother team leader, your upline mentor, or even just your business buddy, this will be the point that you will discuss with them. Because what is the best part about Honey is that you don't have to know everything. You just need to know enough people who knows everything so that you can tap into what it is that they know and their skills. So knowing which point you need help with straight away would really help you in setting yourself up for success. What is your personal development plan? Who will help? What is it that you would need to work on to become the leader that you have envisioned yourself already to be in your mind? Would you need to work with a personal coach? Would you need to work with a buddy? Would you need to have a good friend help you? Would you need to maybe hire a proper business coach or maybe go for some counseling? May you want to connect with people from other businesses? I find a lot of insight when I connect every now and then with people from other multi-level marketing businesses to just sit next to them and hear how they handle certain issues in their business. It really does give me a great deal of understanding. But what is it that you would need to make sure that you can grow to sustain this team that you have just now built for yourself into the future? And then lastly, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to see how you access your banking. And I want you to see how you are moving your income from your check account to a fixed savings and how you are moving some of your fixed savings to a proper investment. And I want you to see how you are making those payments month by month in paying off your debt. I want you to see and feel what it feels like when you make the last final payment on that specific debt that has really been strangling you every month. And I want you to sigh, take a deep breath, and then just realize that you are free. And then I want you to see moving your money around finding different places where you can invest and make it grow. And as you are doing this, I want you to remember that there once was a day when you sat and you thought that this can't be possible. But now I want to end in saying that everything that you have created today, it is my prayer that it will be safeguarded and protected, that it will not be stolen, and that it will not be robbed from you. But I want to challenge you daily to come back to your planning document, to these pages that you have just now scribbled, and work on this business month by month, week by week, year by year. I would suggest that you save maybe this video and mark it as one of your favorites, because you might want to revisit this exercise and build on the foundation that you have laid today. Just the foundation. You've only laid the foundation, regardless of how big you think you've dreamt. I promise you, if you do this exercise in 6 months from now, it will look differently. And then I want to thank you from my side. I'm Koneru, your Destiny Mentor, and I cannot wait to see what your perfect business looks like.